So this is what we've got on tap today. Willie's gonna cover some announcements, what's upcoming in 0.22.0. Michael Collado is going to give us an update on symlinking and job parent hierarchy. Paweł, thank you for joining us, by the way. It's late where you are, right? It's going to talk about dataset lifecycle state change support. Then we'll have open discussion. So, Willie, are you ready to give us the announcements?
Let's do it. I've been waiting all month. Okay, yeah, so a few things here. For those that weren't or did not attend last week's community meeting, or we just kind of want to reiterate that we do have Marquez swag, but also open lineage swag. So if you want to be cool and rock some Marquez and open lineage stickers, check it out. They're free, so you just have to kind of give us some information to where we have to ship it. But other than that, it's all sponsored by Astronomer, which is awesome. Yeah, the next thing, okay, more about me. So I will be giving a talk on backfilling at the Airflow Summit next month. So this talk is really about, you have Airflow DAGs that are running, they're executing, and then something happens. So your data is now corrupt downstream. And how can you use the lineage API for Marquez to run backfills using Airflow's backfill CLI command? So that will be virtual, but the next one, I will be giving the same talk. So it's still about backfilling, but this time it will be at the Open Source Summit for the Linux Foundation, and that will be in person in Austin. And also, I just want to announce that 0.22 is coming out. There's been a lot of features that have made its way into this release. I think we've kind of prolonged it a little bit. Usually we want to do monthly releases, but trust me, it's worth the wait. And Mike, as well as a few others, are going to be demoing some pretty cool features that are coming in 0.22.
Willie, if you don't mind, if I can break in and do intros before we move ahead. I'm just going to start with the top left of my screen. And Gage Russell, could you tell us your name and where you code, if you code with an organization or a company, and what brings you to the meeting today, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure. Gage Russell, code with Q2, a fintech company out of Austin. Here because we are overhauling our previously vendored Airflow Helm charts to be the new official Airflow Helm charts. And while we're doing that, we started playing around with Marquez. So just here to listen in.
Thank you so much. Michael Robinson, Developer Relations Engineer at Astronomer, and I facilitate these community meetings. And moving right along, John Thomas.
Hey, I'm John Thomas. I'm a community support engineer at Astronomer. I'm currently working with Airflow, Marquez, and Open Lineage.
Paweł.
Hey, I'm Paweł. I'm data engineer at Get Data, and I'm working for Open Lineage for like 4 or 5 months. And I'm helping to write some integrations like the Spark Flink and adding some things to Marquez also.
Thanks, Julian.
Hi, I'm Julian. I'm the lead for the Open Lineage project and chief architect at Astronomer. And I'm here to learn more about the recent new stuff in Marquez.
Willie?
Hello, I'm Willie. I am the co-creator of Marquez. I'm a software engineer at Astronomer. And yeah, that's about it.
Ross?
Hi, I'm Ross. I'm Senior Director of Communities here at Astronomer, and I work on a team with Michael and John, and we're here to help make sure things are smooth and make sure the community is awesome.
Minkyu?
Hi, I'm Minkyu. I am a software developer at Astronomer and also a contributor to Marquez. And yeah, good to see you all.
Joshua?
Hi, I'm Joshua Winkowski. I'm an associate data engineer at Northwestern Mutual. I do a lot of work in open lineage, but I'll also be presenting on how we use Marquez next month.
And Michael?
Hey, Michael Collado. I'm a staff software engineer at Astronomer. I'm also a committer to Marquez and to Open Lineage as well.
Thanks, guys. And I apologize for having my screen shared that whole time. So if you've got gallery view open, you can see everyone's friendly face here. So let's get back to it. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Okay, so moving right along. Willie?
Okay, I will go into what's coming in this release, I think highlighting some key things, but both Mike and Paweł, please kind of, as I mentioned, what's coming, please go into more detail because you guys are doing amazing work. So the one thing that we added in 022 is going to be lifecycle state change. So this was a facet that was introduced in Open Lineage. So you can imagine a table gets truncated, gets dropped, gets deleted. We wanted to capture that metadata, and also Marquez should be able to handle that. So we added this new lifecycle state, which allows you to have visibility into the table's lifecycle. And now we have the ability to do soft deletes. So if a table does get dropped, and we kind of see that within the state change, we now no longer show it in the lineage graph. Or we're working towards being able to do soft deletes for both data sets, but also jobs. And there's some really cool work that Mike is doing with symlinks around job renaming. But Paweł, did you want to add a little bit more flavor to that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my journey started with the Spark integration, and I wanted to write a couple of visitors, and yeah, I wanted to provide some information on, let's say, the deleted table or the dropped facet. And the issue was that there was no right place to put this information. So I started by adding custom facets to Apache Spark integration. And I think I added a couple of them. And then we all realized that it's not anything strictly Spark specific. It's something that can happen almost in all the processing technologies. So we decided to promote this Spark facet into the global open lineage specification. Once we did that, we realized we need to be able to support it in Marquez. Yeah, so we implemented it within Marquez. I added columns to the table schemas, and with the information like the table was created, it was dropped, it was truncated or overwritten. Yeah, but the extra fields needed to be added for the drop information because it's something like a delete. So, I mean, we couldn't just delete the data set because then we would lose all the information about it, but we would like to somehow present that the data set was deleted. So we decided to go with the soft delete mechanism. So we added the is deleted column to the table, and we mark it as a deleted. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy that we are able to retrieve this information via the AI, and this information gets returned to the Marquez web UI, where we simply do not print the deleted data sets. Something that I'm not super proud of is that I think it's a really valuable information and we could extract much more from it. Yeah, so we could present it in a better way, like saying, hey, this data set was deleted instead of just not presenting it. Yeah. And I was thinking about what's the problem here. I think the problem here is that, you know, I'm a data engineer and I'm not that good at web UI. You know, I distinguish pretty colors, not more, and I totally don't want to invent how to present the things on the web page, yeah, because I'm not good at it. And perhaps the thing that is missing here, or could be beneficial to all of us, would be something like, you know, Marquez alerting console. If you view the pipeline, if you do the data set, you've got some place, let's say on the top of your screen, where you can put where everybody can put some notifications. Yeah. And when everyone can put the notification without being an HTML expert, which I'm not. Yeah. So that's something I thought to bring up to the community and perhaps ask you for the opinion or ask whether we could proceed with this. What should be the best solution for that? Because I think we'll have more of such examples that data engineers, the software engineers that come up with some valuable information for other Marquez users, but don't know how to present it. Yeah, that's why I thought of such notifications console, where, you know, I could have a place on the website and I could just, you know, implement within the API the way it retrieves some interesting notification. And the interesting notification can be, you know, hey, you're looking at the data set which got changed within last 5 days. The column has been renamed, column has been added, column has been dropped. Hey, the data set has been truncated. Yeah. There's, you know, a lot of such use cases, and yeah, perhaps you could find out some, you know, nice place to let present it to the people. Okay.
No, I very much agree with that. I think you know, you kind of mentioned like what can we do on the UI? Should we gray out nodes within the graph if they've been deleted? In terms of like the notification aspect, maybe we could show the user of all the different like state changes, because right now I think it's just like the current state. But what if we had like a log of all the state changes for the user about this data set? I think that would be a great start. The notification part, were you thinking like there's some notification system that can kind of push these changes to users that subscribe to that particular topic? Is that what you had in mind?
So actually what I had in mind is, you know, just some panel on the web where we could print the things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be pushing the, you know, some real-time things. You just open the page and you see some important things that happened to this data set within this last 5 days.
Yeah, I love that idea. I don't know, it'd be cool if you kind of what you described, throw it in an issue, and I think we can kind of go from there and build on that. But I totally agree. I think some event log around the data set would make a lot of sense. All right, so a very minor thing that I did around the Helm chart, and this one is actually just to add pod annotations. I think currently we don't allow users that install Marquez via Helm on Kubernetes to allow annotations. So one example would be things around Datadog. So Datadog allows you to specify annotations around what format the metrics are in. So Marquez emits Prometheus metrics, which are part of the Open Metrics standard. And also there's other annotations like what endpoint should I hit in scrape. So those are things now that you can add along as well as other annotations. So that's just in the chart. You can specify this and it'll be added to the Marquez pods. And last but not least, we have the support for renaming and redirection. So this is now for jobs. Well, the backstory on this is we're we're introducing name hierarchy or job hierarchy in the Marquez model. And one thing that we need to do is job renaming. And the symlink will allow you to kind of look at a job and see whether or not it was named differently at a different point in time. But I'll let Mike go a little bit deeper into the symlink idea because I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, so the background on it is, yeah, like kind of Willie was saying, we've been talking a lot about grouping and job hierarchies. And so, a really simple example is an Airflow DAG, where the DAG itself is a job, and so records a run ID in Open Lineage, and then each individual task is a job that references the DAG run as its parent run. And this kind of happens repeatedly, right? So like a DAG starts a task group, which starts a task, which maybe kicks off a Spark job, which kicks off, right, some number of activities, right? So you can see there's kind of a chain, and we wanted to be able to tie all of those runs together. And specifically, we wanted to be able to distinguish jobs that are part of one chain as distinct from maybe the same code that runs as part of a different chain. So that's where we were talking about job hierarchy and naming the jobs. And so there's a doc that's been checked in for kind of a long time on the naming spec. And so we talked about having a fully qualified name for a job, and that is like the entire hierarchy of its parents in the name of that job to distinguish it from other jobs. So we were kind of starting to work on the group, the implementation of that and the grouping. And we talked about how are we going to link old jobs, right, that had the original name, like maybe what we call the simple name of the job, and link it to the fully qualified version of the job. And originally, like I had written this view that was like a Postgres view that was going to construct the fully qualified name of a job, and then we were going to have a filter that would look at the URL, and if we see the simple name of the job, go ahead and redirect it to the fully qualified name. But as we got to talking about it, it's a much more general requirement than just for redirecting from the simple name to the fully qualified name. So I don't know about, I'm sure you guys probably all have experience where you have a job that runs and then you need to change the name of that job. And in Marquez, as well as in Datakin, when you do that, you actually end up with junk nodes in the graph, right? Because the old name of the job that read or wrote to the data set still shows up. And now the new job that reads or writes to that same data set shows up again in the same graph. And so if you do this any number of times, you end up with a bunch of junk nodes in your graph. And currently there's no way to remove the old jobs from the graph. And you kind of don't want to either, because right, those old jobs have run history, right? And the old data set versions are tied to those jobs, and you kind of want to be able to see what the run history was if you're tracking metrics or facets that are tied to those old job versions or those old data set versions, right? You don't want to necessarily lose that history. So we talked about just having a more general purpose renaming capability. So that's where we added this idea of symlinking a job. So currently, there's no API for recording the symlink, right? So for renaming a job, there's not an API to do that. Currently, the way to do it is to create a new job and then manually go into the database and update the old job to symlink to the new job, right? So the goal right now is just to be able to support the fully qualified naming. And so in the future, we'll add some kind of an API to actually record the renaming, so that way it can be done programmatically without having to actually like hack into the database directly. But for right now, the way to do it is just add that value to the old old job record. And then what happens once you've done that is, when you try to hit the API for either the job or the job's runs with using the old name, it will return a 301 redirect to point you to the new name of the job. I hoped to have a demo up for it. Unfortunately, I can't get Marquez up and running on my Docker instance right now for some unknown reason. Apparently, I didn't sacrifice early enough to the demo gods, so things aren't working here locally. But yeah, so that code has been merged. So again, you know, if you have the need for renaming, you can just go ahead and manually add the UUID of the new job once you've created it, and then from that point on, so both the run history and the job history, job version history will always redirect back to the new job, so you don't lose any of the history. Also, if you look for the run history for the new version of the job, it will query the runs for the old version of the job as well. So again, like, you don't lose that run history when you rename a job.
All right, thank you. Questions before we move on to the next item?
Comment instead of question. Michael, that's awesome. We ripped all of our task groups out, which of course renames all of your tasks in Airflow because they append the, so that really screwed us up. So that's great.
Yeah, I can imagine all those data analysts that append date to the name of their job, which feel, you know, really happy since that day. It's a big day for them.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, Mike, would it make sense for us to maybe provide like some docs on how to use the symlink or how to do the renaming? Because you're right, the API is coming, but maybe we could create like this FAQ as like, hey, you know, currently very lightweight support for renaming. Just use the symlink, and you have to go in the database. So it might be a good idea to provide some steps there.
Yeah, absolutely. I can post a change to the README to get those instructions out.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then, you know, and then another thing semi-related is we want to do the same thing for data sets, because that is a thing that happens all the time, where either the data set name changes, or sometimes there's two different representations of a data set. So for example, like a Hive table often has a physical location in S3 or in GCS. And so in Spark, maybe you're referencing the Hive table all the time, but outside of Spark, maybe you're referencing the GCS location, and having the way to symlink the two and say, actually, these are the same data set is something that's really important. We want to do kind of a similar thing there.
Yeah, and something I just realized, so like that 301 redirect, I would assume our Python and Java clients would need to kind of handle that. So I think or they don't naturally.
Yeah, it's already, so actually in the integration test, we validate that. So we use the Apache HTTP client under the hood Marquez client, and it just has native support for 301s.
Oh, that's what I want to hear. Awesome.
Okay. Well, I think we can move on to Pavel's. I know you've talked about this already today, but do you have anything else to share about the lifecycle state change facet support? Pavel?
Yeah, I think we already covered this topic. I don't have anything to add. I didn't get it's a question, sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to say more if you had more you wanted to say. Thanks. So I think the next item is actually open discussion. And I don't think we have any specific items listed. Sometimes we do, right? But is there anything that we haven't addressed today that you'd like to ask the community or share, comments or questions?
I think it's great to see new faces. I'll just make that comment.
Oh, question. Helm repo coming? So I vendored y'all's chart about 2 days ago. Curious if y'all plan on adding that to the whatever the Helm index is, I guess.
There is plans to publish it, right? But are you talking about like the Helm has its own like repository where you could publish your publish the Helm chart?
Wherever things come from, whenever you say Helm repo add, I suppose. I cloned y'all. Okay.
Yeah. So that's not a fun experience, absolutely. And actually, Minku, who's on the call, has looked into that a little bit, and in terms of adding it to our website. So the one thing that has happened recently is Ross, also who's on the call, has published a new website for Marquez, so marquezproject.ai. So we want to add a directory where the Helm chart's there. So as part of the release process, we want to publish the Helm chart there, because you're not the only one who's running into that unfortunate experience. We have to clone the repository and then run the Helm command there. So it'd be nice if you could just add it. And absolutely, in terms of this, I don't think it's on our roadmap, to be honest with you, but I think it should be. And so my question, is it kind of a pain? It probably is a pain.
It's really not that bad. We had to do the same thing for Spark History Server. We had to do the same thing for Airflow whenever we did that a year ago. I don't think we have to do it for Airflow anymore. In fact, we're ripping out Airflow and using their official chart now. So it's not a huge deal. Just asking out of curiosity.
Yeah, it's definitely on our radar.
Cool.
Cool. Oh, sorry.
And I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. So it's Gage.
Yeah.
What was okay? So my question to you is, so around the Helm, the deployments is happening on Kubernetes, and did you follow our steps on our website to deploy to AWS, or was that just something you kind of figured out?
We're on AKS, so I just kind of ignored that link.
Okay.
AWS would have been a better engineering decision had that been made 5 years ago. But regardless, it wasn't much of an issue. I think I cloned y'all's down. I didn't have to make any changes to the templates or anything. I think the only default that I had to change was the port that the web tries to proxy to by default points at 5,000, and it needs to be pointed at 80 since that service is listening on port 80. The pod itself does run on 5,000, but I think it should be going to that service. So, but that is that I had to make. Otherwise, it was easy.
Okay, I think I saw you. Were you on the one the community channel? I think a lot of people had that. Okay, yeah. I'm so sorry. I think as of recently, there's been a lot of discussion, especially around the Helm deployment, which is a good sign. I think people are trying out Marquez, and so we usually have an SLA around a day or so to get back to people. So we're sorry that we didn't respond quickly enough.
No. I think I ended up responding to somebody else about the.
Okay.
We had figured that out before I found the community channel. I had gone to the community channel about the @ symbol in the damn ADLF URIs, and y'all got that address today. So I really
So it got merged in, and we're gonna hopefully do a release sometime this week or next week. So expect that to be coming. Cool.
And we'll be on top of it as soon as we see it.
All right. Put a couple things in the chat. So please keep an eye out We'll have some announcements forthcoming in Slack and on Twitter about the new release that is expected soon. And as always, feel free to reach out to the community on Slack or social media, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you so much for coming.
Awesome.
Billy, are you a Liverpool fan?
How'd you know? Wait, is that good or bad? I don't know. It should be a good thing, but yeah, big Liverpool fan, and why not? They're doing amazing.
Yeah, 2-0 yesterday.
What's that? Oh yeah,
No,
2-0 Champions League.
Yeah, Champions League. Yeah.
And I forgot you're a Chelsea fan, right, Paweł?
Yeah, my sons are Chelsea fans. Yeah, but
Rough.
they are already off. Yeah. But yeah, let's see the final, because Liverpool has great chances, and the other semifinal is like is still not decided.
All right.
Cool.
Cool.
Cool. All right.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Appreciate it, guys.
Bye.
Bye.